Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Take three podcast. We're going to begin as we hit July. We're going to get into breaking down each division through the NFL. We're going to go through all 32 teams, what they did in the offseason, what they didn't do, their schedules, what we think their record is. So this first episode here, we just decided to kind of go it's based off what the most interesting divisions would be. We're going to save those for last. So we're going to jump in. We think the AFC East, although it has some interesting things, there's some less desirable teams. So the first one for our NFL offseason division preview is going to be the AFC East. I guess before we jump into it, always here with my man, Alex. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here. Very excited for the NFL. Excited to start diving into the divisions, breaking them down. Football cannot come fast enough.
Exactly. So, I would assume most people for newcomers, AFCs consist of Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and then the Jets are a team that plays in that division. I don't know if they've been a member in recent years, but they're part of it. But let's get right into it. So we're going to start off. We're going to kick this thing off with the reigning AFC champions, the Buffalo Bills. Sounds weird because the Patriots ran it for so long. But let's jump. Sorry, wrong button. Let's jump right in. So up top, you'll see the Buffalo Bills last year. They finished a 13-3 record. Obviously, with this new 17-game season, that will obviously not happen again. Their over-under win total, I did all the over-under win totals via DraftKings Sportsbook. It's set at 11. Their key additions, they really kind of had a quiet offseason. They're just a standard offseason when you have a team that's pretty much set. When you got Josh Allen, you got Ed Oliver, you got Tre'Davious White, Stephon Diggs, Tremaine Edmonds, I believe. So they didn't make a ton of moves, but they added Greg Rousseau out of Miami. I believe he sat out last year at college due to COVID. Carlos Basham from, I want to say, Wake Forest as well in the second round. So they addressed the defensive end position. Matt Breida, Emmanuel Sanders, that's a good ad. You got to get a guy. Cole Beasley's good, but he's always beat up. And then Mitch Trubisky, I don't know. It just kind of has your security blanket. I think he's serviceable enough if you need him. But I guess I'll toss it to you. So what do you think about the Buffalo Bills going into this 2021 season before I have some questions I'll fire at you? Just give me your initial thoughts.
I think the Bills are primed for another really good season. I think they're a powerhouse in the AFC. Right behind the Kansas City Chiefs. They locked up Micah Hyde for 2 more years, Matt Milano at linebacker. Like you said, they brought in Emmanuel Sanders to kind of bolster that receiver position with Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. And Mitchell Trubisky, I think, is a fantastic backup quarterback. Like, he's not good enough to be a starter, but as for the second wave of guys, that's pretty much exactly what you want. He has experience being a starter. He has playoff experience, so that's great if anything happens. I think Josh Allen is going to show that he's here for a while, for a long time, that last year wasn't just like a flash in the pan. I think he's going to have an equally good season. I think the offense is going to roll. Drafting Rousseau, and they basically just tried to bolster their pass rush, which was a big weakness last year, and then they got a bunch of offensive tackles in the draft. So it's kind of like just focusing on lines. And, football's won in the trenches. So I think the Bills are setting themselves up for like a repeat of last year. Their over and under win total set at 11. I would take the over. I think they're definitely going to get 12 wins, honestly.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, they did with a standard team that's ready to compete for a Super Bowl. That was going to be one of my first questions, just going straight into it. Do you think Josh Allen can continue to play at that level? He really took strides last year that were it was ridiculous. I was amazed watching Josh Allen at times when he put it all together, and they're really going to need him to do more of that, and maybe even touch another gear if there's another gear to go out, because obviously when you're battling with Patrick Mahomes and those guys in Kansas City, there's always another gear that you have to reach to kind of match him. Unless your defense is going to play outstanding, it's usually going to come down to, can Josh Allen match Pat Mahomes out there? Because I would assume, just off the basis that if it's not the Chiefs, the Bills would be the second favorite out in the AFC, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're the second best team in the AFC. I think Josh Allen can match Patrick Mahomes. He's not as good as him, but that's like a very, very high bar. Josh Allen has all the physical tools. He looks like prime Cam Newton, but can actually throw the ball accurately and like really, really well. Like he's able to run. He's physical force. He can go at the goal line. Like Josh Allen has it all. I really think it's like the offense will put up points. It's a matter of if that defense can stand against the elite offenses, because the defense is clearly good enough to beat most teams in an average or above average offense. But when you go against, say, like the defending Super Bowl champs with the Buccaneers or the Kansas City Chiefs, two-time defending AFC champs, can they withstand against those offenses? And they tried to address it with the draft picks, because their secondary is not bad, but we're really lacking pass rushers. So hopefully Rousseau can come in and make a difference for him. I think that's actually a pretty big X factor. You don't want to put a lot on a rookie, especially like he was the 30th pick, but if he can come in and like show that he's here to play and like make a difference, I think that would be huge for the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to need the defense. I also look at they're going to need to find a way to get more production out of the running back position. I think Zach Moss was their leading rusher with 600 and something yards, 680, I believe it was when I looked. So it's like they're going to kind of need to find ways, because if the defense isn't up there, you at least want to try to say, hey, can we dial it back? Can we play possession? Can we control the ball? And can we not put Josh Allen at risk? Because Josh Allen does a lot of running and is kind of out there looking to make plays, which is amazing to watch a 6'5", 6'6" quarterback at that height and weight get out of the pocket and make a play like he does. But it's like, do you really want, when they're going to lock him up eventually with a huge contract, are they going to want to put him at risk that much? I think it becomes dicey, and it's like they brought in Matt Breida. He's a more explosive back. In his heyday when he played with the 49ers, he's more explosive, but it's like that's a key area the Bills are really going to have to – you're going to have to find production out of their running back. It can't be just try to sling it. You're eventually going to have to slow the game down and try to play some possession to kind of mask that defense up a little bit.
The running back point is actually a really good point. Breida helps a lot. He's explosive. He's got fantastic speed, so you can get him on the outside or get him in the open field. But like Zach Moss led, but I expect more out of Devin Singletary. Like I think this is going into his third season now. He's been a little bit of a disappointment. Like he's been good, but like I just expect him to be better. But like if he's not capable of handling the full load between him, Moss, and then like a change of pace with Breida, I would imagine the run game is going to be better. You make a good point with Josh Allen. You don't want him taking a ton of hits, not only for like just next season, but if he's going to be the Bills franchise, which it looks like he is, for the next, hopefully if you're a Bills fan, 10 plus years, right? You want to see him for the long run. You don't want to see his body break down, kind of like we've seen with like Cam Newton and similar quarterbacks that get out the pocket, run, and take hits. So yeah, the running back position is a question mark for sure, but they have like the talent on paper. I just don't know if they're going to be able to execute.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to, executing. Yeah, I wouldn't really say – I don't really remember Josh Allen taking a ton of hits, but it's like there's crazy plays along the sidelines, right? We saw Jimmy Garoppolo blow his knee out just on a weird play along the sidelines. Just anything can happen. So it's like if they can minimize that, keep him in the pocket and just let him sling and do what he's good at, the guy's got probably, 1A, 1B for arms in the league between him and Mahomes. It's pretty ridiculous. And then, I guess final question before we just like jump. I don't want to jump too far ahead through a season, but when it comes down to it, do you think they're capable of unseating the defending AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs? Can they put it together? Is this year the year in Buffalo?
100%. I think they definitely have all the talent in the world. They could 100% be Super Bowl champions next year. They were very close last season. They're bringing majority of the core back. They got good off-season additions, got a little bit deeper. They definitely have the talent, and they have the ability to unseat the Chiefs. They even have the ability to get the 1 seed and have home field advantage. And Buffalo's a crazy stadium to play in. I would not be surprised at all if the Bills are representing the AFC. They're very capable of it.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say they could really – last year was a good experience year, right, when they made that run. And it's like, they kind of weren't I guess, not ready for it. They kind of got flustered a little bit in Kansas City. But yeah, if you flip flop that right and you have home field advantage in Buffalo, I don't know many teams. Obviously, Mahomes or whoever has to go up there would be game, but it's like that's a different atmosphere. Those guys are crazy up there, jumping through tables and doing all that crazy shit for the games.
And they beat good teams to get to the championship last year. They beat the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, and then that Colts team, which Philip Rivers was old, but that's a really good roster. So like the Bills can do it. They can represent the AFC for sure.
Yes, they're battle tested. So I mean, I guess before we go forward, the way we're going to do this is we're just going to kind of drop our personal record prediction, what we think each team is going to, what their win and loss total is going to be for the season as we go through each team, just to have it on the record, just to be able to go back and compare head to head, just so it's out there. So I mean, I'll fire out mine first. When I went through the Bills' schedule, I had them slotted in at 12-5.
12-5. I have a lot of faith in the Bills. I think they're going to be very close for the 1 seed or be the 1 seed. I got them at 14-3.
Yeah, I wish I had the schedule thing that I used. I don't have that side by side with me. But hey, I mean, they could do it. They have the talent. It's just I kind of wanted to be. I mean, my thought process is just be modest. Like, right, a team is going to lose a game that you expect them to win. Like, it can happen. So that was what factored into my thought process. But I mean, they could easily stretch it into 13-14. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
12-5 should still be good enough to take the division. Like, I'd be shocked if the Bills aren't the division winners.
Yeah, facts. So I mean, jumping off the Bills didn't really have that exciting of an offseason. We're going to jump straight into a team that went through a lot of change. They seem to go through a lot of change every offseason, whether it's the coach, the quarterback, the GM. So we're going to jump straight into the New York Football Jets. Obviously, they were 2-14 last year. I think they're about 2-14 every year. DraftKings has their over/under win total for 2021 at 6.5, and they added obviously Zach Wilson. They think he's the guy. They went with him over the Trey Lance. They needed obviously they went with that because they needed a guy right away, right? They weren't gonna. The relationship with Sam Darnold was burnt, so they brought in Robert Saleh. I like him. He has a different energy about him. I feel like he has the energy that he's kind of built to thrive in a city like New York. He was a very good defensive coordinator in San Fran, but obviously when you have that much talent, it's hard to judge. Is that going to translate to a head coach? They also had a Corey Davis, 3 years, $37 million. Carl Lawson, defensive end, 3 years, 45. Elijah Moore, they drafted him. It's pretty good. So it's like they got Zach Wilson and then they got guys around him. So they wanted him to be able to, obviously the hope is he can elevate these guys and these guys can help him. And then obviously the departures on that side, Adam Gase, probably 3 years too late. Probably should have never brought him in. It seems he's garbage. I think he's coaching high school ball now. He should probably do that, maybe even middle school ball. And then obviously Sam Darnold, the relationship was kind of burnt. Adam Gase kind of ruined his career arc, I'd say at least. And then obviously they did the trade with Carolina, which I thought worked out perfectly for both sides. So, I mean, what are you seeing with the Jets going into another new year for the Jets?
Yeah, so the Jets are exciting, right? New head coach, young new quarterback, new regime. The biggest advantage they have is that Adam Gase is no longer on that sideline. Adam Gase is terrible. He had a job because of Peyton Manning, and he should thank Peyton Manning every day. But the Jets draft was really nice. You get Zach Wilson round 1. You also get Elijah Vera Tucker at guard to protect Zach Wilson, and then you swing back around round 2, you get Elijah Moore at receiver. Like you said, they added Corey Davis. Saleh is a defensive-minded head coach. I like the Jets a lot for, like, the future. I don't know about next season. They have a lot of pieces to, like, build. And that line, that DraftKings line of 6.5, I don't know where I would go with that. I'd probably lean under just I would bet against rookies because it's really hard to win in professional sports. In the NFL, that league specifically is even harder for rookies to come in and make a difference. And we've seen it with rookie quarterbacks all the time. I think we'll know kind of fast if Zach Wilson like really has it or not. And I don't really know, honestly. I'm not like rooting against him at all. Like I wish him nothing but success, but New York's an extremely tough place to play and the media is unforgiving. I just don't know if like, especially because he was drafted so high and there was quite a few quarterback options outside of Trevor Lawrence. There was Trey Lance and Justin Fields. So especially if those guys get going, depending on how much Lance plays this year, but Fields, if he gets going with the Bears, that's not going to look good for the Jets. That's going to add additional pressure. But I like them for the future. Like, let's say not next season, but like 2 or 3 seasons down the road. I just don't know how well the talent translates right off the bat, given how young it is.
Yeah, that's facts. I forgot they added Morgan Moses too, so that's another guy to the veteran offensive tackle, protect Zach Wilson. Yeah, but I mean that's the question: did Zach Wilson's stock shoot up because he played in a weird COVID football season where he kind of there's a lot of weird like hand-picked games. BYU was refusing to play teams, and then they would play a team on a week's notice, and he would kind of go off. I mean, I like the intangibles that he has. I enjoyed watching him. He definitely has the arm, he has the mobility. But I mean, as you said, New York is rough. New York demands success right off the bat, even if you're not even expected to be successful. The magazines are going to start, the newspapers are going to start. If they start 0-3, 0-4, and then, as you said, Justin Fields, if he's even playing by then, I think the Bears will be smart. But we'll get into that another time. But yeah, the pressure is going to mount, and that's a big thing. It's right off the bat. Can Robert Saleh change the culture of failure in New York? I mean, modern day, everybody knows the New York Jets is a laughing stock of football, right? They're a failure. Quarterbacks, coaches, GMs, they're just going through guys like crazy. And it's there's a lot of pressure on both those guys. I think there's a ton of pressure on Zach Wilson being the number 2 pick. And then there's a ton of pressure, although I think Robert Saleh is built for it. I mean, it's gonna be seen when you actually have the when you're the guy that's responsible for everything, right? If a couple of losses happen, how is he gonna handle that, and how's he gonna handle not having as talented as a group as he was when he was out in San Fran? That team was kind of like tailor made with Shanahan. And then, yeah, I mean, the big question is Zach Wilson. Is he finally the guy? Right? They've gone through plenty of guys and thought that guys are the quarterback of the franchise, but Zach Wilson ultimately, when you're taking him that high, when you're going right after taking Darnold 3 years ago, and he's still young, it's Zach Wilson has to be that guy, or you're going to be moving on and doing the same thing in 2-3 years again, and you'll be looking for another coach.
I have more faith in Saleh than Wilson. I think Saleh is going to handle the pressure fine. To me, the biggest question mark is Zach Wilson. They did give him some weapons, though, so hopefully that helps out. They gave him a first-round guard as well. They gave him Tevin Coleman. He also signed, and then the defense got a little better. They added Vinny Curry. They franchised Tag May. They kept Lawson. They kept Rakins. So, like, they have some building blocks and pieces to work with. It's just interesting to see if the talent's going to translate on the field right off the bat.
Yeah, and I mean, we're only in we're just getting into the training camp portion. It's like when we get to preseason, we need to see what type of scheme they're running. What is Robert Saleh? Obviously, I'm assuming his offensive coordinator is going to call the offensive side of the ball. But what is that scheme going to look like? What are they going to be asking of Zach Wilson? If they kind of don't tell him to go out there and go guns blazing off the rip, I'd say it's probably for the best. They also drafted Michael Carter, running back from UNC. So they have guys that they can kind of ease him in. I think Saleh's smart enough where he's not going to say, Zach Wilson, come put the city on your shoulders in weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, maybe not even all year, and tell the fans, this is going to be the guy, but you got to be patient, and we're gonna build something here.
That's a really good point, because like how the offensive coordinator runs the offense and calls plays for Zach Wilson is really going to like show if he's going to allow him to develop or they're going to just try and throw him out there. I would assume they allow him to develop. That's like the smart move. They are clearly not playing for a division with like Buffalo in that division and everything. They are an extreme long shot to even have like a winning season, let alone make the playoffs or anything. So it should be all about development and just every time you step on the field, whether it's practice or a game, just to like get a little bit better, right? So it should be all for the long run. But it's going to be interesting. I want to see what offense they run. I want to see how Zach Wilson adapts. I want to see if the faster game speed is going to affect him or if he's still going to be able to make the right plays. So I just think there's a lot of question marks around this team. And I think the building blocks and talents are there. It's just going to be interesting to watch. It's all about Zach Wilson.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I'm just reading up now. So their offensive coordinator is it's Matt LaFleur's brother, and he comes from the wings of San Francisco. He's offensive assistant, so he's going to run something similar. I think they're going to have a smart offense where they try to run that West Coast offense that San Fran runs. And I mean, I think you're spot on.
Snap motion.
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of stuff to kind of ease him in and make him look good, and you can kind of mask the quarterback. San Fran does that quite a bit, but they also have a great defense when they're healthy. But I mean, the point you made earlier about the 6.5, yeah, I think it is tough. I mean, I'll just go out and fire out. I have them going 5-12, so I have them under. I don't remember the exact games, but as you said, I just think rookie quarterback, rookie head coach. They'll look good in some spots, and then other times they'll look like there's growing pains, right? It's growing pains, and it's New York City. So I had them at 5 wins. That would be under what the win total is.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have them at 4 wins. And with the NFL, it's any given Sunday, right? So, like, I'm sure some of those games are going to be coin flips. So 4.5, 5 wins sounds about right to me.
Yep. I mean, that's all I got on the Jets. I mean, it's just time to be determined. See what they can do. I'm excited. I'm kind of excited to watch them. Like, I mean, they've been horrible, but it's like with the new regime, I'm excited to see what they got going.
I think they opened the season. Let me double check. Yeah, they opened the season at Carolina. So that means they get to face Sam Darnold right off the bat.
Yep. They get to face Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold will be coming out looking for his revenge, even though Adam Gase is gone. I'm assuming he wants to exercise some demons on that franchise. But now we'll jump into the 2 remaining teams are definitely, I'd say, the most interesting, just because their roster, where they were last year. The Patriots underperforming, but we're going to start off with the Miami Dolphins. Oh, wow. Wrong button. Technical difficulties. But we're going to jump straight into the Miami Dolphins. 10-6 football team last year. Over-under win total for this year set at 9. I think that's a great number when I was going through it and looking at everything. Obviously, it's going to be Tua's second year. It's going to be a full year where he wasn't coming off the hip surgery. He was coming off the hip injury at Alabama, obviously. That ended his tenure there. So he's a full year removed from that, and he kind of got some work in the NFL. They added Jalen Waddle, one of his guys from Alabama, Will Fuller. So they added 2 speedsters for him right off the rip to go with Devontae Parker. And I think it's Jakeem Grant, who's another speedster. They got Matt Scarra. I think he was center Baltimore. I'm going to say he played with Baltimore. I believe that's who it is, DJ Fluker. So they added some more protection. They realized they kind of protect him. Javon Holland, safety, I believe, from Oregon. He sat out last year due to COVID. And then they bring in a veteran like Jason McCourty from New England. And then on the other side, the guys that were out, Kyle Van Noy, they cut him. Matt Breida, I believe he's out. And then it's weird putting Ryan Fitzpatrick up there, but Ryan Fitzpatrick was like a key guy. He was like the reliever role last year. Anytime Tua was bad to start, Brian Flores would call up Fitzmagic and just let him sling the rock. So I'll toss to you your initial thoughts on the Miami Dolphins heading into this season. It's definitely an interesting one. I think there's a little bit of pressure on them from how they played last year.
Yeah, this is probably the first season since I can remember. It's been a long time that Miami's entering the season with like some kind of like real expectations. Like I think if they're not a playoff team, they're going to be disappointed with their season. The Jalen Waddle addition is great. Pair the Alabama guys back together. Will Fuller is going to be nice when he's actually on the field, whether it's the hamstring injury or the suspension. But when you get them all on the field with Devontae Parker and Jakeem Grant, that offense can really get going. They have Myles Gaskin at running back still. Really, to me, Brian and I like Brian Flores as a head coach. So really, to me, it's up to like Tua. Is Tua going to develop more? Tua had some questionable moments in his first NFL season, and then he looked good at times. But like not having Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, is actually a bigger deal than most people would think. Not only like his voice in the locker room and his leadership and like his ability to like mentor Tua, but like he was like a little like ace up the sleeve for Flores when like the Dolphins offense couldn't really get going. You kind of just throw Fitzpatrick in there at the end of the game. He just starts slinging the rock down the field. They're not going to have that. So hopefully Tua can build some more confidence and like actually let it rip this year. He had some good moments, but I think it all comes down to his development. I think we're going to see hopefully a big jump because he's going to get a full NFL offseason, a full year in that system. He's really going to come back and know it better. So if Tua comes out firing, the Miami Dolphins would be a very good team because the defense is legit.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think Brian Fitzpatrick leaving helps him because it's kind of like similar to the Carson Wentz Nick Foles thing in Philadelphia a couple of years ago. It's like you don't have this guy watching over your shoulder that was arguably more successful at times. And obviously, Foles brought a Super Bowl to Philly, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, you could argue at times last year looked like he should have been staying in there as the starter, right? Tua should have never suited up as the starter and took his spot. So I think it kind of him being gone kind of frees Tua's mind, even if I mean, obviously I'm not in Tua's head, but it frees his mind to say, hey, they believe in me. Brian Flores believes in me. They when they drafted me, I was supposed to be the guy, and now they finally give him the keys. I think they had a Jacoby Brissett, but I mean, Jacoby Brissett he is what he is. He's a guy to be there just in case of an emergency. So I think it gives Tua the I don't even know the ease of mind, the freedom on his mind to realize that this is his football team, and they go out and add the wide receivers alongside him, which I think will help quite a bit because last year there was times where Devontae Parker was playing and then he's not playing and then he's out and then Jakeem Grant's out. And it's like you can't really, in a game where the quarterback wide receiver chemistry is so crucial, as you've seen through Tom Brady's career, when he's comfortable throwing the guys, you just kind of have that feel, you know what route they're going to run, you know where to put the ball for them to make a play. So for him to build that chemistry through this offseason with those guys, I think is a big deal for him. And then, yeah, I mean, you brought up Myles Gaskin. He's got to continue taking that lead horse role for them and taking pressure off because I don't think you want Tua back there slinging the ball 45 times a game, 40 times a game. I think you want to keep him in around the 30 range, 25 to 30 throws, and kind of mix in that running game. And yeah, Myles Gaskin is going to have to. He was good last year. I believe he got hurt towards the end, I want to say.
Yeah, I believe so. He was a little banged up.
Yeah, so it's like, can they keep him? I don't know who their other backs are, to be honest, but can they keep a rotation of running backs kind of to change up the pace and really not put everything onto it? Because it is only year two. And obviously, I mean, there's pressure in the NFL, but at some point you want to have a running game. A running game helps any quarterback when it's going forward.
Definitely, and he has a good tight end with Mike Gesicki. But like the one thing too, it really has to his advantage is like a good defense. Like the defense is one of the best units in the league, and so like that kind of relieves some pressure. Not only do you expect a big jump from Tua knowing the system better, but like knowing that if he makes a mistake and throws a pick, he can go to the sideline and know that like majority of the time his defense is going to bail him out. So that also kind of gives him more free reign to kind of let it fly, maybe take a few more risks than he would if he didn't have a good defense. So I think like the good defense is the key to the Dolphins, that and Tua's play. So with the defense relieving pressure for Tua, and if Tua can make a jump, then there's no reason the Miami Dolphins can't be a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, I think too it was like 11 touchdowns, 5 picks last year. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Dolphins fan, you're Brian Flores. I want to see him even not as a fan of either of those or even related to the Dolphins. I want to see him throw down the field more, like attack down the field, have confidence, step up in the pocket, and make some more throws downfield. There wasn't a lot of that last year. It was a lot of dink and dunk and underneath stuff. And if he's going to take that jump, it's really going to have to be that's an area where he's going to have to work on making those downfield throws, which he didn't really throw many last year.
I agree completely. He needs to push the ball down the field. He needs that Eli Manning confidence, that blind confidence where you can just throw a couple picks and go right back out there and chuck it right down the field again. And I think the defense is going to help. He needs to know that he's got a good enough squad around him that they're going to back him up. So if he makes a mistake, they can bail him out.
Yep. Yeah, he's a smart guy. I don't even think. Yeah, he's really smart. It's his IQ, high IQ quarterback. But it's just like take some risks, my guy. Like you did it at Alabama. Obviously, it's Alabama's a lot different, but it's like let's get back to that. Let's get back to swinging it. And then I mean, yeah, last thing on that, I was like, can this team build on the 10 wins? Can they push? And can they squeak out another win, 11? Because right, they were 10 wins, but didn't make it, or did they make the playoffs? That's my fault for not even having that on off the top.
No, I don't believe they did.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 wins, but didn't. So can they try to squeak out an 11th win, or like can this team build off, or will they regress in some areas?
Yeah, that's the big question mark, right? And you brought up the Alabama thing. Yeah, I want to see him throw the ball like it's in the national championship with confidence, air down the field. Because when he was doing that, he looked like a young Russell Wilson. That's what it reminded me of. And I think he has the potential. He has the ability to do that. So it's just a matter of like knowing the system, doing it with confidence, and just playing to his ability, which he does have.
Yeah, that's facts. So I mean, it's really all I got on the Dolphins. It's gonna be a lot on Tua's shoulders. I mean, we go off. It seems like the NFL it's a revolving door. Everything's on the quarterback's shoulders. But I mean, the Dolphins. That's really what it is. So for the win total, their over under is set at 9. And when I went through their schedule earlier today, I had them right at 9. I had them at 9-8.
I have them at 9-8 too. I think the biggest question mark is the next team we're going to talk about, the New England Patriots, how they're going to play their two division games with them. Because I think they're like those teams are like in similar boats. Like they're going to be right around the same. So it's like, how do their division play? Because I don't really see them doing much against Buffalo, and the Jets are the Jets. So I think their seasons are really going to depend on like their matchups against each other, which is going to be really fun because week 18 they play each other, and I think that's going to be a massive game.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen a lot how the Dolphins, they kind of, at least in the Tom Brady era, it was weird how they had the Patriots number anytime they'd come down to Miami. It was weird. Like even when they weren't even in contention, they would beat the Patriots somehow. But I mean, you segued us in perfectly. It's probably the team in the division that has done the most. At least they spent the most. We'll jump straight up New England Patriots. Bill Belichick, I think for the first time in my lifetime, there is definitely in my lifetime where that man went balls to the wall, spent money like a maniac. Obviously, last year's record, they finished 7-9. He was probably pissed off because he watched Tom Brady win a Super Bowl, leaving him. Their win total via DraftKings is at 9, so it's right on that same thing as the Dolphins. And I mean, yeah, as you said, they have Cam Newton back. They drafted Mac Jones at 15, and then they went out and they just spent a ton of money. They signed Matthew Judon, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar. They traded for Trent Brown. They re-signed Kyle Van Noy when he was cut by the Dolphins, and then I believe they're getting David Andrews back. He sat out last year due to COVID. Dante Hightower, did he play last year? I think he sat out. They had a bunch of guys sit out due to
So
COVID.
Dante Hightower, and notably it would be Dante Hightower and Patrick Chung.
Yeah, well, Patrick Chung retired. Yeah, Patrick Chung retired. I know that for a fact. So Dante Hightower will be back in the middle of that defense. And then obviously on the line, they lost Joe Thuney. They lost Marcus Cannon. And then they lose a veteran in the secondary with Jason McCourty. But they have Stephon Gilmore back there. He's in like a weird holdout thing right now. But I mean, obviously I expect him to show up and play. But it's like Bill Belichick, he brought back Cam Newton. And it seems like in my eyes, when I watched their offseason unfold, it was kind of like, okay, Cam, last year we didn't have any weapons around you. We didn't have anything. So now I'm going to go out. I'm going to spend all this money. I'm going to get the Jonnu Smiths. I'm going to get the Hunter Henrys. So you got the two tight ends, Nelson Aguilar, who was surprisingly good with the Raiders. He was able to stretch the field. I think they have Kendrick Bourne as well. I didn't put that on the slide, but they got Kendrick Bourne, so it's like they have guys. So it's easy. He's going to put these guys around Cam, kind of to alleviate that. Hey, I went out and did this, and I got guys for Cam Newton. And if Cam Newton's not the guy and he's not producing, then it's on Cam Newton. But obviously, he has Mac Jones, the ace in the sleeve. But I mean, so what do you think about the Patriots and Bill Belichick?
Bill Belichick, I feel like, was not happy watching Tom Brady win the Super Bowl. I think he went out, spent a ton of money, retooled, and like this was the first time in a very long time he was not division champ, not in the playoffs. I think he's coming in with a big chip on his shoulder, and I think it's gonna be a really fun season to watch for him. The Patriots went 7-9 last year with a bunch of opt-outs, not a lot of talent. They didn't really have tight ends or receivers, running out N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers. That's not exactly great. Cam Newton was doing well at the beginning of the season. He got COVID, and then he never really returned to form. And then that's just unfortunate. They really had a lot of things go wrong, which for the first time in like 20 years. But they're coming back with a vengeance. I love the additions, the two tight ends, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, two tight end sets. They're going to be able to run the ball really well with Cam behind there. You get Nelson Aguilar. Jacoby Myers is still there. I really like this Patriots team. They went 7-9 with all those things I just listed. I see no reason why they can't improve by 3 wins to get at least like 10 wins. I think they're going to make the playoffs as a wild card team. Them or Miami, I think they're going to beat up on each other, so it's going to be interesting to watch. But I think the big factor for him is Cam Newton going to play the full season? Because if Cam Newton doesn't play well and they switch over to Mac Jones maybe halfway through, that's not just like a quarterback switch. It's kind of like a whole offensive philosophy switch. I'm sure they'll still run the ball a lot and do 2 tight end sets, but like they're going to have less quarterback runs. And it's kind of like having those 2 guys as your quarterback is a little bit difficult for I believe their offensive coordinator is still Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, so that's like a challenge for Josh McDaniels, figuring out the 2 different styles of offenses between Mac Jones and Cam Newton. I think Bill Belichick will have the defense running well. And if Cam's playing well for the full season, I think that's the best thing the Patriots can hope for. Just sit Mac Jones. Hopefully he doesn't have to play at all. He can just get reps and figure out how to become a pro and just learn in his first season. But if Cam Newton's not playing well and they have to switch to Mac Jones, I think that's going to be a big challenge for McDaniels.
Yeah, I mean, Josh McDaniels has been around long enough. I mean, the way I look at it, yeah, that was gonna be my first question when it comes to the Patriots is how long is Cam Newton's leash, right? Like, it's not. I don't think it's gonna be kind of like a similar leash to last year because they had Mac Jones waiting. It's like if he wavers, I don't think Bill Belichick will. I don't think he'll sit around and wait because obviously he said he has a sour taste in his mouth. He didn't make the playoffs. His team was below 500. And he watched Tom Brady get another ring without him. So it's like, how long is the leash on Cam Newton? I don't see him just sitting back. And if Cam doesn't have it, I think they'll go to Mac Jones rather quickly. Like, I think it'll be quicker than people think because he just spent all this money. And it's like, it's weird. It's like a kind of, I don't want to. I mean, I don't know Bill Belichick, but it's like kind of a last stand. It's like when you spend this much money, it's like we either got to be successful or maybe I should go hang it up. Right? He already has his rings. Like he's cashed out. His legacy is set. It's kind of if we spend all this money, we get these guys, and we're not hit. How much longer should I continue to just stick around? Should we pass it over to the next next era of New England Patriots football?
Right, and that can honestly be an easy transition if they just go with Josh McDaniels already on the roster. But Cam Newton coming back, he gets a full year to learn the system again. The defense gets a bunch of upgrades. Kyle Van Noy's back. They signed Jalen Mills at safety. I just can't emphasize enough the offensive additions of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. The 2 tight end sets, I think, are going to be massive. If they're healthy on the field, you got Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne. Like, that's a really good scheme right there, especially with Cam Newton, because you can't just leave him there. He can run all over you if you're not. And with 2 tight ends blocking, they can really get down the field like that, and then you can do play action and Nelson Aguilar over top. Like, there's a lot of potential for this team.
Yeah, I'd say probably bubble wrap Hunter Henry. He seems to get hurt quite a bit, so they might want to wrap him in a bubble wrap. I didn't realize they added Raekwon McMillan as well on that defense. Pretty athletic linebacker. But I mean, yeah, it's really kind of a last thing can Bill Belichick's investment into this club for the first time in really his era with the Patriots. Can he put something together to upstage Tom Brady? I think that's his ultimate goal, right? Like I think if he could have it his way, it'd be like, damn, I'm gonna upstage Tom this season. Like I'm gonna come back and prove that I didn't need Tom because right, that's the huge debate, right? Tom leaves, Tom gets a ring, and that debate then it sparks. So I mean, there's gonna be a lot of questions that are going to be answered in a short amount of time when we see this when we see the season kick off, even when we get into preseason and see what they're looking like in the preseason. And obviously training camp's wild, injuries could happen. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. We definitely want to see the teams at full strength, but I mean, football is football. You always see crazy stuff as training camps get going, but yeah, I think Bill's going to try to upstage Tom Brady. I don't think it'll be successful personally, but it's fun.
It is fun, and to be fair to the Brady Belichick point, I don't know if last season really proves it's all Brady and like Belichick's watch, because like Brady had almost everything to work with that phenomenal Tampa Bay roster, and they were really listening to him offensively and defensively. That roster is stacked, and New England was pretty much gutted as a roster. I think this year will show much more because the Bucs are going to repeat. They are going for the repeat. Excuse me. They brought like everybody back, and then as we're saying, New England really upgraded their roster. But we get the matchup too. Week 4, it's New England and Tampa Bay Sunday Night Football. I'm sure the Bucs win just because they're better at this moment in time, but that's going to be must watch.
Yeah, Tom's return. Will Belichick shake his hand? That's the question. Will they dap each other up before the game?
I think they'll be civil. I think they will. There's too many Super Bowl wins between them.
Yeah, it's definitely a petty departure. Yeah, they definitely.
I'm here for the pettiness. I'm here for them talking shit to each other, not liking each other. That just makes it more fun.
Oh yeah, I'm down for him, dude. If he went up and if he went in for the high five and the hug, and then one of them said, "No, I'm good," hey, I'm all down for it. I don't have stock in either team. I think it'd be hilarious, but I mean, just to jump into the business aspect, the over-under on the win total is 9. When I went through their schedule, I also had them. It was tough going through the games, but I also had them at 9-8 as well.
Yeah, that win total, that line is a phenomenal line. If I were to bet it, I would lean over because over is just more fun. You get to root for more points, more winning. But I also have them at 9-8. But I could honestly see him winning more games, and I could honestly see him kind of just collapsing and folding in. They have a lot of coin flip games to me between the Saints, the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Browns, the Panthers, the Titans, the Colts. They play all those teams plus the Bills twice, and I feel like all those games are going to be close. So, like, I wouldn't go near – if I'm actually betting, I wouldn't go near the Patriots over and under. I got them right what the line says at 9 wins, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I could see them winning 9 or 10, or I could see them winning the same thing, 6 or 7 ball games, and just not putting it all together. So, I mean, that's really all I have for the AFC East. I mean, it's kind of I don't want to. I mean, there's excitement. I would say less exciting than some of the other divisions that we will jump into in the coming weeks. Any closing thoughts from you about the AFC East?
Yeah, I just think it's the Bills' division to lose, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Pats or the Dolphins are wild card teams. Maybe both, maybe neither of them, but it's definitely the Bills' division to lose.
Yeah, I agree as well. It's the Bills should hold pat there, and then it's kind of what can these other teams do? And when I say other teams, I mean the Dolphins and the Patriots. The Jets ain't making a run at this thing. So I mean, that's going to wrap it up. This is just our first one, so we're going to obviously continue work and improve on all of these. If there's anything specific that you would like to see added to these, feel free to comment, shoot us a tweet. All our socials will be in the description. As this video comes up, our Spotify as well, if you only want to listen to audio only, will be in the description as well. For those that listen on Spotify, we haven't reached out to the other podcasting platforms. It'll come sooner rather than later. But I mean, that wraps up this episode for our 2021 AFC East Division preview. And I just can't wait. As you said, I can't wait for football season to be upon us, to see these teams actually take the gridiron and make me look stupid, because I'm assuming something will happen that makes me look dumb. But I mean, any final comments from you, man?
No, I think that's it. We'll be back tomorrow for Game 2 of the NBA Finals, so tune in for that, and look out for the upcoming division previews.
That's facts. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday night, following Game 2 of the NBA Finals. So for Alex and Brandon, we're wrapping this thing up, and hopefully see you back at the next one.